Hello and welcome to part 2 of the Family Digital Learning Guide series. This resource is available. It was put out by the federal government, and you can get it at the website tech.ed.gov. It'll show up right there on the homepage, and all the information from part 1 and part 2 is available there. If you remember, part 1 was about the benefits of digital learning, and we looked at, how digital learning can benefit your student. Part 2 is about how to enable that digital learning, and we're going to look at that today. So when we consider enabling digital learning for your students, there are 3 things that we want to look at. The first one is, as it says here, is ensuring your child's access, and the first part of that is with personal learning devices. Most of us know these as laptops or tablets or even smartphones or some kind of computing device. And these are helpful because they allow your students to access a wide range of content from inside the home that you can't get any other way. So you can get resources from across the world, from your local library, from the online stores and stuff like that, and have it delivered. So some things you want to really think about when you're talking about personal learning devices is what is available. And there are usually two ways of getting a personal learning device. First is buying it yourself and providing it, but the second is getting it from your school. Many schools are one-to-one or provide devices for students who are in a remote environment. And it's one of the things you want to talk to your school about when you're considering digital learning and online learning. Where's your school at and what are they doing? But outside of that, the cost of computers and tablets and laptops has come way down in the most recent years, and even like a cheap Chromebook is something most families can afford. Or perhaps you can get some funding to help you purchase it, whether there's some grant options or scholarships or things like that locally available. So it kind of also answers the question of where you can get it. So either you get it yourself or from a school. Or something like that. You want to then ask the question of how do you get support for that device? If it's something you're purchasing yourself and just using, do you have a way of getting support? Is there a local company or business that can support if you have troubleshooting or technical problems? Can your school district provide support? If it is a school district device, the school district will definitely provide support for using the device, but they should also provide support for how to do whatever they're asking you to do online. So if you're being asked to access a learning management system like Google Classroom, they should provide support on how to do that, or one of the multiple video platforms or anything like that. But make sure your student is supported when they are sitting down to do learning online. And if you don't know how to do it either as the parent, you can also get some support and seek that out as well. And then the last thing to think about in this area is, what do you do without a device? So you might not have a device, maybe you can't get one for whatever reason. Are there ways that you can access learning without having your own device? And yeah, there are some ways. You could go to a local library and use the devices there, maybe a friend's house, or you can talk to your school district if they're the one running your program about activities that you can do when you're not plugged in. It certainly is not good for students to sit in front of a laptop or a device for 6 hours a day. And being able to unplug, even if you have a device, and do activities that do not involve that device is something you want to be able to do as a family and as a student in an online learning program or a digital learning environment. The second section we want to talk briefly about is how to access most of the stuff using those devices. And so for that, you need some kind of internet service. And there are a lot of companies right now offering free service because of the pandemic to families, but there's also ways of getting that maybe through your school district. Some districts provide hotspots that you can borrow or rent so that you can get internet access. Some local organizations also offer internet access as well, and many school districts have set up hotspots throughout their area, either at the local buildings or at local churches or community centers, where you can just drive in and sit in your car with your device and connect to the internet and work on your work or download the activities for the week or the time. So this is probably one of the harder things to deal with if you live in a remote area where internet access isn't possible because there are no providers. And figuring out with your district the best way to do this or whatever program is an essential thing to your students' education. One other thing you want to look at as far as internet service goes, though, is what kind of service you have and if it is going to be enough. This especially holds true if you have multiple learners trying to access multiple things at the same time. So usually internet is good, one person watching streaming video is great, but what if you have 5 kids who are trying to stream video or do web meetings all at the same time? Is your internet connection good enough? That is something you want to look at before you really dive into online learning at home. And make sure you then, as the parent, if you're working from home or you also need a connection, you have enough, it's called bandwidth as well, so that your internet doesn't become too slow to function. And then the last thing we want to look at when talking about digital learning and enabling your students to do it is to ensure that they are being safe throughout the entire process. As soon as you get online, it's very, very easy to share personally identifiable information that you probably do not want out there for everyone to see. Some things you can do as a parent or a guardian to help with that are to make sure that the device has appropriate security settings set, and to talk with the district to understand what those are. This includes any kind of filtering software or protection software they may have installed on the device. You want to understand digital citizenship yourself so that you can also teach your students how to be good digital citizens, and mostly this means on what to share and what not to share in an online environment. And you want to talk to your program or your school, if you're doing with your local district or an online charter school, about how they're teaching the students to be good digital citizens as well. Some other areas of consideration too, you want to make sure students understand password management, and there are some great apps for managing passwords, but it's great to understand that and to make sure to have secure passwords on important accounts. And then finally, video conferencing, the do's and don'ts of video conferencing, what you should be showing on the screen, what you should be doing on the screen, especially if your student is doing live synchronous sessions with their teachers. And then privacy policies, and that relates directly to how the school district is managing your information or the program. If you're doing an online charter school or a cyber school, or even just an online learning program with the local library or something like that. And you want to understand how your information is being used to set up accounts and to register for things or to share things in an online environment. So when we think about all of these things on the large term, there's just some questions that you want to ask, and there's more of these in the guide that you can get on the tech.ed.gov website. But those questions are, what apps or websites are being used in my child's classroom, whether you're in person or whether you're online? You as a parent, you want to be informed as to what these are, what they're asking of your child, and who else is on these apps and what is being shared. Along with that, you want to ask, what if any forms do I need to sign to give consent for my child to use digital learning tools? So just like being informed, you also want to give your permission or understand if your permission is being given and what it's being given for, just so you are aware of what is being used. And then finally, how is student privacy maintained while using online tools? And this goes back to sharing, are things being shared with the internet at large or just within the class? Are they posting pictures of the classes and personally identifiable information? And if so, are you aware of that and are you okay with it as far as what is being shared online? So all these questions and more are found in the digital learning guide. Again, that it was on the tech.ed.gov website. It is a great resource and we encourage you to use it.